Welcome back to another edition of Sol. Today we're working on a 2009 Lincoln MKs with a 3.7 engine. I already took this off and of course started to make a video. So this is held on by the oil cap. You take off the oil cap, take this off, pops off and goes back here, and then you put the oil cap back on and make sure nothing goes down. I'm going to try and make this in stop-go video style because there's a lot of functions here, so it'll minimize for time. First thing you want to do is take off this hose here. Simply pull this clip back, give it a little wiggle. Sometimes it cooperates, sometimes it don't, so just be careful because it is plastic. Do the same thing here, and then you set it off to the side. Then you have 8 millimeters right here. You have to pull these red tabs that are locking, and well, sometimes you can't use the nail. So we're going to get back with that. Yes, I did forget to mention we are doing a tune-up. We're going to be replacing the ignition coils and spark plugs here. Then we're going to have to get this off right here, the intake manifold. Here's 2 8 millimeters, 3, 4, 5, and maybe 6 underneath there. And then I'll go back over there to see if there's any bracketry that needs to be removed. And I can already see some from here. Okay, continuing on. Okay, so now that we have all the red locking tabs back, you want to push down. Comes off that easy sometimes a little tough like that. If it is tough, you want to try and get a tool that looks like this. Lyle makes it. It's fantastic. If you can get on the angle on it, you would get it like this and then pull, so that way you make sure that everything comes apart nice and easy. Do take caution. This is a 2009, so 15 years old. Want to make sure that these plastics, they get very brittle over time. So it's the summertime here in Florida, so actually it's always summertime really down here, so usually it cooperates, but again, depending on the vehicle's maintenance, how it was maintained and kept, that could dictate how easy or tough it comes apart. So now we're going to remove these ignition coils. Sometimes give you a little fight. Let's use 2. Okay, once we got the coils out, that is a 5/8 spark plug socket. AutoZone is where I get this one from. It's got a magnet end on it, so once you put it on, I did crack them loose, and that's how they come out. They don't drop because it's magnetic. Also, I don't recommend using a power tool unless you have many years of skill and technique, where you understand the laws of force and pressure, and of course you drop stuff. And there you go. And then you got the 3 spark plugs out. Now I always hand thread them in and then tighten them down with a ratchet. Also want to add real fast, all my magnet trays are being used right now, but if you have a small box, keep all your parts, bolts, whatnot in there. This is anti-seize, very good to use on the threads. I'll show you in a moment how much to use. You don't need to get all Michelangelo on it, just a little bit on the top of the thread goes a long way. And make sure you are using iridium spark plugs. That is what belongs in the vehicle. Always use the correct spark plugs, don't cheap out. And this is the way that I do it. This is the way I was taught. A little bit of anti-seize right here on your finger. Put it right there on the thread. That's it. It'll spread as you tighten it down, or go all the way down the threads. Okay, now we're moving on to the 3 coils. You got 3 brand new coils. There's your old coils. And you could take a look down here. You see, there it is right there. They pre-lube these. Normally you want to use a lubricant that goes down there. What is it called? Dielectric jelly. Also very, very little. You just want to protect the tip of the spark plug, and here minimizes the resistance of electricity flowing through it. And then some people like to put a little bit of dielectric jelly on the pins, or you can put them on the pigtail connectors right there. Again, it just minimizes the resistance. And there you go, you got the 3 coils. Pigtail not installed yet. We're going to get to that in a moment. Okay, now we're going to first tighten them down. On a low torque setting, and then you follow it up with a ratchet. Now we're going to put these on. Make sure it goes all the way on. Click, and then push in. Click, push in the lock tab. Click, push in the lock tab. There you go. So now the front is done. We're going to make our way to the back. We're going to take off this intake. Like I said, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A couple of bolts, we'll get to them. I'm going to take it all apart and I'll let you know what I did. All right, so I'm taking off the air filter housing cleaner assembly. There's these 2 lock tabs here, and then you got an 8mm clamp right there. Okay, now that we have that off and disconnected, we can take that off and lean it to the side. And yep, there's a bolt right there. There is a little plastic retention clip right there. Not really a clip, but it's a stay for the wiring harness. And then there is another bolt right there. We'll get to that now. Okay, so it looks like there's 6 bolts there. These are 5. And then this one up here is the only oddball. So it's the long one. Otherwise, they're all the same length. All right, so we got this clip here. You push it in, it comes out right away. Got another lock tab here. Push that up. And then we get to use the fancy pliers. I'll show you how they work. Easy. Right under the throttle body, there is an 8mm right down there. Not the top one. It looks like a 10 actually, maybe. So it's that one right there. Okay, so you see which one it is. We did it live, and again, a different length bolt. So now we're back on the passenger side. There's a hose right here. This hose, don't bother taking it off on the intake side. It pops off on the valve cover side. Then you have this hose, which is coolant hose. Coolant runs through there, and then this electrical loom right here. You want to pop them off out of these holes right here, just like this one is, just like that. Now it's free. So all you have to do is lift, negotiate it a little bit over these plastic hoses. Be very, very careful of these hoses. They are plastic. And again, depending on how the vehicle has been maintained over the years, this is 15 years old, 2009, there's a good chance that they could break. So be cautious. You take your time. Don't snap anything. Once you've got that loom out of the way and this hose off, as I mentioned, which goes right here, you lift up and then just tilt it to the side. Now we're going to work on these 3 spark plugs, and we're going to examine the gasket, the plenum gasket, which is right here. We're going to go ahead and replace that. Here's the part number right here, in case you want to go grab that for yourself. It's about 15 bucks at AutoZone. And then let's get to it. All right, so I already took out the bolts. Same procedure, 8mm. I need 2 hands for that. Same thing again here. You want to remove the lock tab, then push down and exit. I'm going to go ahead and change these. It's the same procedure as the front, so here we go. Now, just another good observation here. Once you have as you're taking them out, you want to make sure that there's no oil, no residue. You want to make sure that it's all clean. If these give you a fight, the reason why you need to use 2 hands to get them out, that's a good thing. That means there's a good seal. This rubber seal right here. So you don't need to relube the new ones. But you can look down here, make sure there's no oil. If there is, then you'll have a different issue. It'll either be rings at the bottom of the engine, or possibly could be the spark plug tube seals, which means you would have to replace the valve cover gasket itself, and it'll come with these individual seals, which are on the inside. So that's why you have to replace the valve cover gasket itself, because the whole thing has to come off. All right, let's reassemble.